Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Cut and Splice. This is Gil, and I'm here with Matt and Jason. Uh, Today, we're going to be talking about two Charlie Chaplin classics, City Lights and Modern Times. Jason, you mentioned that was it both of them or one of them that you haven't seen before?
I had not seen either one.
Oh, okay, cool. And you haven't seen any Chaplin movies?
No, I have a very, very long time ago. I think I saw the one where he's with the kid.
Oh,
Um,
the
and
yeah.
of course, before film school and during film school, obviously, I probably saw. I'm gonna say 15 to 20% of Modern Times just through clips that they were showing during various things, people making examples of stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, and Matt, you've seen them both before?
Yeah, like 20 years ago, but yeah. um, I I think I saw the Gold Rush more recently, but uh, yeah. Um,
Yeah,
but
I
yeah,
was thinking about it. Go ahead.
no, it's nice coming back to them.
Yeah, no, because I was thinking about like in choosing a Chaplin movies, and they're also very light to some degree, especially these two. So I felt like doing two of them, especially if Jason hasn't seen them. Um, the other ones that were the Gold Rush has a reputation, also the kid. Uh, but I always felt when I watched that movie, I was so let down by it. I was like, I don't get it, except for the
Yeah.
scene where like he's eating the shoe and stuff, and it's he's always got creative stuff. But the overall thrust of the if you want to see like a great black and white uh, movie about a gold rush, you should watch Treasure of the Sierra Madre. um,
Yeah.
but and the other one is, of course, The Great Dictator, which I have a soft spot for. But if you, Jason, I think it's worthwhile for you to see it. It's actually would be a
Well,
good pairing.
it's been on my Max list for a long time. I just haven't gotten around to watching it.
It would be actually more appropriate to do Great Dictator double feature with Life is Beautiful. Because it's essentially the same thing. It's a comedy about the Holocaust in a way,
Right, right.
and it skirts this. What City Lights does a little bit. All his movies have very humanistic, very uh, he very much is dealing with the common man. The obviously his character is the tramp, like the homeless guy. That goes from one situation to another and tries to make it in the world. So everything about what he does is very geared towards that, the humanity of every situation. But the Great Dictator, he just really just goes full. He's got the speech, the famous speech in the end. There's a lot of memes about it. That's
That's
just
the only part I've actually seen is the ending.
yeah. Because but what I like about these two movies and why I do think that they're both as close to perfect as possible of all his movies. I think The Great Dictator lags a bit pacing wise, but it's a more serious movie and there's a lot going on there. And he also it was his first talkie movie. But these two he more makes fun of the, especially I think in both, yeah, because but in both movies sound was coming in, but he was refusing to get it into his movie, so he mostly brings it in as jokes, as gags, um, which I found funny. But yeah, The Great Dictator, it's not wall to wall sound, but talky, but there's definitely some sound aspects to it. But there's more dialogue than in any of his other movies, obviously. But yeah, that one's interesting for sure. It's like worthwhile to take a look. Just especially the daringness of doing a movie about Hitler while Hitler is still
Mhm.
Yeah.
out there. It's just it's kind of nuts. And Hitler also stole his mustache and ruined it forever.
Yeah.
But in any case, but yeah, like that, but that's just my overall take of Chaplin, and I've always, since I was a kid, I saw these movies on repeat, and I just, then nothing else made me laugh as much until, growing up, and there's Dumb and Dumber, and other movies. Team America, but as far as I was amazed just how funny it was to me, because the one thing, a lot of people say that Chaplin doesn't really translate well to current times or current humor, but I think a lot of what he does is so creative and so fun, and it made, me personally, it always made me laugh. I don't know how you guys feel, especially Jason, since you first time seeing these in full.
I thought they were pretty funny. It's dated humor, obviously. I mean, it's a lot of slapstick and stuff like that. But I don't really think that I don't really hold that against it. Really, it's just kind of like, it's almost like uh, not long ago. I think maybe just about a month or two ago. I think I might have even told you guys this. I don't know, but I rewatched uh Singing in the Rain for the first time since I was probably like a kid, probably like maybe 12 or something like that. Since I'd seen that movie. And I mean, it was good. I liked it. And I mean, it's never been one of my favorite musicals, but it's definitely like a good movie. But I remember coming away from it thinking, geez, like this movie is really packed full of these just like big music numbers, and it's not like a modern movie music number. It's like a big staged thing that doesn't really move the plot along, kind of thing. And I was like, but you know what? I mean, I got to kind of just like shrug, because I was like, that's kind of what people were there sort of going to the movies for at that point. It's like they knew that that's what this movie was going into it, and that's what they were paying for the ticket price for. It's the same sort of thing. I mean, this is like what a lot of the comedy was at the time, and I mean, he's very, very good at it. There's moments where I think it kind of goes a little long, like the bit will go a little long, but I mean, it's still good. It's funny.
Yeah, I can see that for some of them. Also, I mean, obviously, I've seen them before, but I can see maybe a more clever modern audience might just catch the jokes a bit too early and think that it's obvious. But to me, what always wins over me is it's just the creativity, like how he takes a situation and just finds the humor in it, and it's not always what you expect, like what you think might, like if the scene starts and you have the setup, you might try to guess what he's going to do with it, and you don't always know where it's going. So I think that, at least for me, that's what about you, Matt?
I don't know. Comedy's always interesting. A little bit of an interesting thing for me, at least when it comes to like some of the older slapstick stuff. I can tell you that City Lights landed for me better than Modern Times did, but I can't tell you why.
Huh.
To be discussed.
uh, I, which is also kind of funny, because there were moments in City Lights where I'm kind of looking at Charlie Chaplin's character and thinking, there's a part of me that's thinking this is kind of a bad human being. I mean, I know that the guy's a millionaire and everything, but he's kind of manipulating manipulating this dude.
I mean, that's debatable. I mean, he saved his life, so the guy feels indebted to him
twice.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, but yeah, again, to perhaps a later discussion, but I don't even know if that's all that important. But bottom line, Chaplin was, I mean, this is nothing groundbreaking. Obviously, just a master of physical comedy, and you've gotta just loved what this guy did, like excelling in the silent era, even after the talkies came in. I mean, like, uh, and you can understand why, Modern Times, came out nearly a decade after The Jazz Singer, you know, and like you said, only used dialogue sparingly. The technology was there, but you still have a movie that's mostly a silent movie and done that way because that was what he did better than anybody. And I mean, there's it's more than just the invention of sound in cinema that solidified him as one of a kind. I mean, he's just uh, he was just the best at what he did. But
Yeah, and he has a very good, obviously, excuse for the slapstick because he came up from that. Like he came up from the silent era and from vaudeville, and it was all about the using your body to make people laugh, and because dialogue was sparse with the cards. But yeah, it's and I've tried, and I know a lot of people have a hard on for who's his face, the second
Buster
one,
Keaton.
Buster Keaton from the period, and I watch his movies and they don't make me laugh. I mean, they're clever, they're well done, they're well paced. Because I always worry with silent movies, even comedies, that the pacing would just be treacherous, and that's what I always appreciate about Chaplin is his pacing is almost modern, like it's almost contemporary. It's really, I'm sure at the time it felt the people just uh erratic, the pacing compared to if you watch a silent movie that's a drama from that period, it's like slow motion compared to his movies. And not that it's sped up for any reason, it's slightly sped up because of the technology, but it's just the gags, he moves so fast, the scenes move so fast, he doesn't stay on anything for too long. It's I don't know. It's just so ahead of its time to some degree. I don't know, and I don't think anybody else came close. I think again, Keaton had some decent setups and decent movies, but none of them made me laugh to the same degree. And they might have been inventive in other ways, but. And I definitely appreciate it, but I don't know, it just didn't land for me. But maybe it's one of those things where, like, if you watch Keaton first, then you like him better. If you watch Chaplin first, I don't know if it's one of those things, if it's the one or the other. But yeah, and what's interesting about these two movies too is that they came 5 years apart, and they're both an hour and 27 minutes, and they're both rated 8.5 by the audience on IMDb, and then one's rated 9.6 by the critics, and the other one is 9.9, which is a pretty rare meta score for City Lights. But City Lights, it makes sense. I mean, it's got one of the most famous endings of all time. I personally give it a 10 out of 10. And if I had to, I guess I've never rated Modern Times. It's tough. I hear what you're saying about it. It's not as perfect as City Lights, but it's, I might want to give it like an 8.5 or close to a 9. I'll probably just put a 9. Let's say if the Great Dictator, maybe I'll give like an 8, so it'll be more gradual. Gold Rush maybe like a 6 or a 7. But what about you guys as far as ratings?
Yeah, Jason, you go first.
I feel like I'd put Modern Times at probably maybe like an 8.5, and I'd give City Lights like probably like a 7.5 or an 8.
Cool.
I think I'd probably flip it. I think it would probably be like an 8.5 for City Lights and then an 8 for Modern Times. But it's pretty close for me. And it's not so much that I think that City Lights is like generally a superior film to Modern Times. I just think that the jokes landed for me better with City Lights. But I think Modern Times has some aspects to it that I actually prefer to City Lights. So it's kind of a wash for me.
I think after I'm thinking about it now that you're saying that, I mean, I remember more moments that made me laugh out loud in City Lights, but I just think I enjoyed watching Modern Times a little bit better.
Yeah, I feel to some degree Modern Times is more of a straightforward comedy, or City Lights is a dramedy. So that's the way I've always seen them, is that Modern Times is just almost pure entertainment. There's some aspects of it, just dealing with the way man is connected with the modern work and things like that. The whole thing with the people walking and the dissolves into sheep, and all that. But that's almost gags. He doesn't delve deep into what that means. It's more of a premise for him to just make fun of for an hour and a half. Where City Lights, he really digs somewhere really, really deep. Like he goes really to the essence of really like what his character is all about, to some degree. But maybe we should probably get into spoilers and then do that. So, but any would you recommend this movie to people who have not seen any Chaplin?
Yeah, I think I'd recommend both of them.
Yeah, I mean it's
yeah.
It's funny that it's like not on people's radar that much. I actually showed it to my kids, one of his short movies, and a few years ago. I wonder if I tried again if it would work. But they kind of enjoyed it. They were really into it. So who knows? Maybe someday I'll, because I watched it when I was, I think, sub 10-year-old, and I just cracked up like crazy.
Well, the thing about City Lights, especially if you were showing it to someone young, it's broken up into like these segments that you could show them the parts without needing to see the whole, almost. You know, like the start of it where he's the factory worker up until the end of that segment is like almost like a little self-contained story, and it's still part of the overall story. But then there's like the other part where he's it's almost like he gets like two different jobs, and then there's them living in the little house. I mean, there's a lot of little segments in that one, and each one has its own little physical gags, its own part of the story, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's the one thing I think in Modern Times is that the factory sequence takes a little while until we move on to the next. That's the only pacing issue I can see in either movies, is that even though there's a lot of gags in there and he breaks them up, we're there for a long time before he meets the girl, or like before you introduce the girl and all that. Yeah. In any case, but yeah, I guess if nothing else, spoilers. I was gonna ask Matt, you mentioned that, was it City Lights? The jokes didn't land for you as much as Modern Times, or was the reverse?
The other way around.
Modern Times.
The jokes with City Lights landed with me better than the ones in Modern Times, for one reason or the other. Maybe it's because I watched Modern Times first and then I watched City Lights directly after, and I was like warmed up. Maybe that's it.
I think City Lights is one of those movies that's just pure inspiration, and it's also his earlier one. So maybe a lot of his genius, not that he was lacking, but a lot of his best stuff was just ended up there, and then Modern Times he was skirting around and trying to come up with new stuff, and it's always tougher with the next movie to do it. That's why I feel like The Great Dictator is not nearly as funny as these two movies, but it's got stuff going on for it as well, like good sequences. But City Lights, something from top to bottom about it is just almost like being touched by God or something. He just came up with this premise, the idea with the blind lady who's the only one that is willing to even look in his direction, ironically, because she can't see him, and that makes him fall in love with her. And but somehow to have a premise that's that perfect and that like clicks in just right, the humanity of the situation, but still to make everything laugh, like funny around it, and everything that he's trying to do to help her. It just feels like he was. Also, I was going to mention earlier, like he wrote his own music too to the movies, which is crazy. He was just that movie. I think it was one of those things where like he couldn't do anything wrong. Like that's why to me it's one of those perfect movies. That would be actually a question between the two of you, if either of you have City Lights. Because whenever I rate a movie at 10, I look at it and I try to look at what's wrong with it, and I just, it's very hard for me to like find flaws in that movie, except for I guess you said that, it's the morality is slightly questionable. But
I didn't even have a problem with the morality of it. I just thought that that some of the stuff in it wasn't. I didn't think the story was as good as Modern Times.
To me, the story is perfect. I mean, because Modern Times, there's also the orphan girl or the the homeless girl, that aspect of it, but it's not nearly as they're not as intertwined as the relationship that he builds up in the first one. The relationship in the first one is a lot more just intricate, like the way he thought about it, how it's all going to work out, that she's blind, he's going to put on this act because he wants to yeah, like the whole thing.
I
And then
get that.
I so end.
Like it's just funny because you and Matt are both saying things, and it's like I'm actually kind of like feeling the opposite way. It's funny, like the so I do like that part of it, that that he wants to help her, and he's pretending to be a wealthy man or whatever. But it's like, it's odd to me that I get that this is kind of one of those things that you're not really supposed to question, but it's so strange to me that he's supposedly having this long relationship with this person who he's helping over time by doing this series of things where there's this like ruse going on and whatever, but off camera we're supposed to assume that they've been having conversations, because he continually comes back to her, and she says to the grandmother, "Oh, it's just unfortunate that you're not here whenever he shows up," kind of thing, and so on and so forth. So it's like the time where he shows up with the that dead bird and like some food and stuff like that, we're supposed to assume this is not the first time he's done this. I mean, he's like working a job to try and give her some money and give her a better life and so on and so forth. So he's coming by on a semi-regular basis and all this stuff. It's so bizarre that they would never ask each other their names.
Yeah, that's definitely a movie thing where
yeah, I mean, and I get that. It's just like stuff like that was like, I was like, all right, whatever, I'm just gonna go with this, but it's not it's not what I'd call perfect, as all I'm getting at. And yet the funny thing is, I can't remember now, I've lost what you said before, but you were saying something before, and I was like, and you were saying something about City Lights, and I was thinking to myself, that's how I feel about the other one. But no, I don't know. Anyway, it's just funny because, like I was saying, it's almost like you guys were talking about stuff and I was feeling the opposite way. Matt was saying that, earlier that, if anything, an issue that he might have had with City Lights was thinking about the morality of some of what the character was doing. And that's exactly how I felt about Modern Times, was that I actually felt that one was the stronger movie, but I might have a bit of a slight issue with something that's taking place in that movie.
Yeah, no, that one's definitely got some issues, like morality wise. The I was gonna say, like, one thing I can see someone perceiving about City Lights is you could look at the plot of that and say that it's too convoluted, or that it's too perfect, that it comes together too nicely. But it sort of reminds me of the way some Seinfeld episodes, and definitely Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's a very Larry David thing, where
Yes.
and yes, and it gets ridiculous in Curb Your Enthusiasm, but when it's done right, when the different like threads connect, even though this is not in Seinfeld and Curb, like he does like a 2-3 threads connect, like storylines. This is not the exact same thing. It's one storyline, but the thought process of going from the blind woman, and eventually she sees, and you tell her, you can see now, and she says, yes, I can see. And there's so much in that one sentence, so much meaning, and so much depth, and it just completely, just like what happens to both of them, their faces is, it is like one of the great movie endings. It's like romantic, especially like it's a super like romantic, to like that it was this perfect situation where, sort of like Shallow Hal. it's it's just about how two people can truly see each other for what they are, and not the superficialities. Even though he's attracted to her looks to some degree, and to the fact that she's blind, because it's to his advantage. She proves herself in the end that she's not just a pretty girl, that she gives him the flower. She laughs at him, but not fully. Like, she sympathizes with him as the tramp, not knowing who he really is. And then when she realizes who he is, she doesn't care. Like, they're probably gonna get married or something, or that would be the hope, like a ever after. And I don't know. That's just so perfect. I can't think of a movie that did it better, romance wise. Like, just it's something very, very unique. I can't put my finger on it.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with any particular point that you're making. I just don't think I felt it as strongly as you did. I mean, I thought it was fine. The I'm going to sound like a broken record here. I cared much more about the relationship in the other movie than I did that one. I thought that one was fun, and I wanted him to succeed at getting her the money that she needed, not just for rent, but for her eyes and for all the stuff like that. And in the end, I was hopeful that there would be a reconciliation and so on and so forth, like that they would meet up and something like that. But more than anything, I just wanted him to succeed in his goals of helping her. I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that even though he's doing it for good reasons, the fact that I don't even know. Like, after the first couple times, I don't really know why it's important for him to continue the ruse
Of
you know
of being like rich.
of not being a homeless man. Like, if he's, after a certain point, when the wealthy millionaire, you know so for anyone who hasn't seen the movie, the funny situation is that this homeless guy meets and befriends and saves the life of a suicidal, depressed millionaire, and the millionaire loves him like a brother, anytime he's wasted. And as soon as he sobers up, he doesn't remember who the guy is and has no interest in being around him and wants him thrown out of his house every single time. And it's a repeated joke throughout the whole thing, and usually lands pretty well. But like the third time that the millionaire sobers up and takes the car back and all this stuff like that, by this point, the tramp has helped the girl like 2 or 3 times. And it's at that point that he no longer has the money or the help of the millionaire, but he just decides, I'm going to help this girl. And we jump ahead in time, and there's like a period of time where he's been working a steady job in order to give her money and help her out. And it's that point when he realizes he reads the thing that the grandmother's been hiding from her about the fact that they're past due on their rent and so on and so forth and all this stuff like that. So there's there's this idea that even though he has helped her several times under the ruse of being a wealthy man, for some time, probably months, he has been helping her in any way that he can, just as a regular guy. But for some reason, he keeps up the ruse without telling her his name, without telling her any sort of circumstances. If anything, if he wants her to like him and appreciate him, like, he should just tell her the truth. He should just be like, listen, I'm not a rich man. This is the circumstances of how we met and how I helped you and so on and so forth. I'm going to continue helping you because I like you. And I'm doing this at great expense to myself because I'm homeless, but I'm working every day to try and make some money for you and me and so on and so forth. But like, that doesn't really factor into the story in any way.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, it feels that he was stuck in that situation, that he didn't want to be perceived that he was deceiving her or lying to her, and to some degree worried that maybe if he wasn't rich, that maybe she wouldn't be interested in him. I think it's more so just
I think it's the latter more than anything.
It's possible. All of those things are possible, but again, for some reason it didn't bother me specifically.
It doesn't bother me much when I watched it. I just thought it just, I think it's good. It's a good movie. It's just, I get everything you said about it 100%. I just didn't feel that it was perfect. I was just kind of like, it's nice. I mean, there's a lot of other movies with love stories that I think were probably better, but that's not saying much. I still liked the movie a lot.
Yeah, it's just doing its own thing. I guess Matt, I'm curious, and Jason too, since you said City Lights, the jokes landed more. Maybe we should do a round of like saying like which gag was our favorite in each movie.
Matt.
I actually think the opening sequence in City Lights was, I mean, that just warmed me up from the beginning. Yeah. And when the national anthem started playing, and they're so proper about it, even though like he's still up there, like fiddling with the unveiled statue, and that really, that was a great introduction for me.
I love the musical cues there, the transition from the anthem back to the theme. It's the use of music.
That scene is a good example of how I feel about most of the bits in that movie. In both movies actually, is that like, and again, before I even say this, let me preface by saying I get that this is like a thing of the times and whatever, changing of times, but like, I mean, when he's up there, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's not good. And then the moment they're like yelling at him, saying like, get off that thing, and he's like, oh, okay, and then the sword gag happens, that's got me laughing. Like, I'm laughing And then like you said, the national anthem thing is happening, and I'm like, all right, let's keep it going. That's funny. It's funny the way the physicality of it, where he's moving his legs trying to stand up and all this stuff. It's all funny. When he finally gets off the sword, that's when I'm ready for like one more gag and then done kind of thing. And it's like, geez, it's like 7, 8 things. He's like, oh, let me tie my shoe. Oh no, let me sit down right here. And they're all just like, no, get the heck out of here, kind of thing. At some point, I'm just wondering why the cop isn't going up there and hitting him. I mean, like it's not like he was physically.
He doesn't want to desecrate the statue.
I guess, yeah. I don't know. It's fine. It was very funny. That's a very funny scene. I just think the little stuff is really funny. Like, I love after he's met the girl for the first time, when I think is it the very first time she gives him the flower? I'm trying to remember.
I'm not sure. I think so.
Either way, I guess it doesn't matter. But he's met her. He realizes that she sits on this corner and sells flowers, even though she's blind, kind of thing. And I guess it's like Gil said, it's like he's obviously very attracted to her and fascinated by her. And perhaps there's another aspect of it that he's looking for an angle maybe or whatever, but like really, it doesn't really matter. The point is that the next scene that we see him in, either later that day or the next day, presumably, he like decides to come back, and she's blind. So he's just going to take advantage of that and just kind of stare at her the way that someone does when they're fascinated and in love, and just realizing that she's not going to know that he's there. So he very quietly sits like 7 feet away from her and just is like, wow, look at this beautiful girl. And then she gets up because she sells flowers, so she needs some water for her little flower thing. And she gets the empty bucket, and he like goes, oh gosh, and he like freezes next to this little fountain that he's sitting next to, and she's right in front of these bushes. So like the fact that she walks up with her empty bucket, which has had flowers in it, presumably some bits of dirt and some crap in the bottom of it, she's like rinsing the bucket out, and he's just trying to not even breathe, and like he's like maybe a foot away from her, and she just throws the water in his face because he's standing in front of what she knows to be a bush. To me, that simplistic joke made me laugh out loud. I was just like, that's what you get. That's what you get.
Yeah, no, that cracked me up. Yeah, I'm
the other one that I liked a lot, and I don't know if I liked this the same way. I guess this was almost one of those jokes where I actually felt bad for the people and not so bad for him. But the very first time that he stands outside her house and peers in through the window, he's standing on that big barrel that catches the rainwater. And I mean, this is just bad city planning at this point, because the basement neighbor, is like coming out of their basement dwelling, which is like steps down into their house. And I get that comedy is, tragedy plus distance. Maybe I just didn't have enough distance from this one, but like, man, I felt bad because, like, as a neighbor living next to an attractive blind girl, you see somebody doing this. I mean, it's very understandable that he'd be like, what the hell are you doing peering in that window, kind of thing. And the guy just like, because he's a klutz, he like jumps off the barrel, which topples the thing over. That's 50 gallons of water. Okay. Yeah. 50 gallons of water pouring down into this man's subterranean dwelling. I was like, do you know how much that damage that is going to do to this guy's house? Like, he just runs off. I was like, you jerk. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, when the plant like lands on him, that kills me. I don't know if it was the same scene or a different one, but I think he's also like there. I think it was something else. But yeah, like when
the plant,
the cat like hits the plant
over. That's funny.
Yeah, from City Lights, I think one of my favorite, obviously the boxing scene is the one that's the most famous and everybody like
It's very well
goes
choreographed.
back to, but the especially like the length of it, like that actually is a good example of like that to me works better than the factory thing. Although the factory has some funny moments in it too, but yeah, like a long scene where there's multiple sequences, but really just comes together nicely. I
Yeah.
don't know why. This was the first time I watched that that sequence and and realized I think I've made this connection before, like that he's looking at him like all the guy who he's supposed to box, the new guy who's like all dangerous, but he's looking at him all like sweet and
Yeah.
all, and
Yeah.
I realized like, oh, he thinks he's gay.
Yeah.
And that's why he goes behind the curtain when he changes the clothes,
Yes.
which I don't know why he drops the pants and he stays in whatever he's got underneath there. But just like that, I don't know. I probably, especially as a kid, I didn't make the connection of the gayness. I just thought that like this guy's weird and he's staring at me. I don't want to like get undressed. But then I was like, oh, it's the gay thing. It's
Yeah.
but one of the ones that really caught me this time, as far as like, ah, come on, this is like genius, was the is the I think it's in City Lights, yeah, where he where he walks by at the store that there's the two statues of the horse and then the naked woman.
Oh.
and he keeps like looking at the horse. Just there's so much going on here. Like he's looking at the horse as an excuse to look at the woman.
Yes.
'Cause he
Yeah.
doesn't want to be like he doesn't want anybody to see him staring at the naked woman, so he keeps looking at the
Yeah.
horse.
Yeah.
It's kind of like if I go to like a store and I'm really there to buy wine, I always like add a few more things so people don't think that I'm just a drunk. Like I'll get like a it's the same thing here. It's like he's standing by and the horse gives him license to look at the woman because he's looking at art. He's not
Yeah.
looking at a naked woman. He's looking at art. Like he's trying to like put on a, but then it goes further. Like the whole thing with the lift going up and down that he almost steps on,
Yeah.
and then he steps on it and it drops, and then the man comes up and then he's like, oh, like come up and I'll show you what and then he comes up and he's like this guy's
That made
shoe.
me laugh. Yeah.
It's just like that.
You see it coming from a mile away, but it's still funny because you're like, wow, they did find a tall guy to do that shit.
It's just so many things to that little sequence in front of a and how it starts. It's such a human thing of like he's horny, he's a dude, and but you don't want to show it, you don't want to stare. It's just I don't know, it's such an ingenious scene. I don't even know what that lift is. I don't think if that kind of thing exists. Like, why is there a lift in the middle of the sidewalk? But
they have stuff like that in cities, some of them, or they did anyway.
Could be like if it's a subway connection or something. Yeah,
there
service.
definitely should have been some sort of warning before that were to open up in real life. that's definitely not OSHA compliant. Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, but I guess since we did City Lights, maybe we should like go to modern times, like favorites.
Yeah. I didn't write down a lot of the joke stuff that made me laugh out loud. I just I was taking a couple of notes. Even with the like black and white and everything, Paulette Goddard is like astonishingly beautiful in this movie.
Uh-huh.
And her eyes are incredible. But before mentioning anything else, just to elaborate on what I was hinting at earlier, I mean, the actress is 26 when they're filming this thing. She's supposed to be playing a 17-year-old, I'm assuming, because they say that she's a minor, and that's the whole reason why there's like a thing with the police trying to capture her and the other little rapscallion children, that are running around like, like the kids from Oliver Twist or something, but yeah, I think that Charlie Chaplin, plays a little younger than he probably was in real life. I mean, he his teeth look disgusting, but I mean, he is supposed to be a hobo, so I mean that's okay. But it's like his face doesn't look super old. I think in real life he was like 40 something when they
Yeah.
filmed that movie. And it's like,
I,
I don't know what they're trying to say he is. I guarantee you he's not supposed to be any younger than 30. And so it's like, it's a little weird. I know that these sort of things change with the times a bit, but I mean, it's a little creepy that this very much grown man is like in this relationship with a minor. But I don't know.
yeah,
you
I
know,
think it was 45 at the time of the movie.
yeah. I mean, he
Yeah.
definitely looks fairly young because they always put him in scenes next to big hairy guys, like in the factory, the department store, the prison, like all those different scenes. There's like always scenes where there's bigger, hairier dudes, balding dudes next to him. So and he's so playful. So he comes off as a little younger, but like probably not 40s, but
Yeah, like
certainly not 20s.
30s.
Definitely
Yeah,
not
it looks like
20s.
30s.
Early to mid 30s, like
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that is like if you want to talk about morality, it's definitely more
that's
of an
what
issue there than
that's the whole point I'm bringing up, is that I love that love story. It's a fantastic love story. It's so great, but I mean, to be honest, there's a bit of an issue there.
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, actually, yeah, even the character, the female character in modern times is just credited as a gammon. The definition of that, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that, but I mean, the definition of that is a street urchin, which is mischievous young child. I
Oh,
mean, like,
I was wondering
I
about
mean,
what that word meant. I saw that
yeah,
on IMDb, and I didn't know what that meant. But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, the long and short of it is that, for anyone who hasn't seen the movie, spoilers, like the
uh,
beginning of the conflict with her character is the fact that she's running around the streets causing mischief and stealing food, and she doesn't have a legal guardian, and so she's going to be put into the system. And then, at the end of the movie, when much of their lives have been sorted out and there's a real happy outlook to their life, once again the conflict comes in that she's got a record and she's a juvenile, and so on and so forth. So it's like, no matter how kind you want to be to it, she's got to be at least 17, or she can't be any more than 17, I should say. So um so it's it's a thing for sure. Interesting side note, after diving into IMDb, this is neither here nor there when it comes to the movie. It's just interesting. The two of them ride off into the sunset at the end in their happy, relationship, Epstein relationship. But yeah, the uh the actress, that gorgeous woman, was in fact married at 17. So I don't know how that legally happened, but yeah, that's a interesting little
I mean, I
bit of.
think this always been a thing. It's always been a thing that older, successful men get basically these girls that are just barely legal, like just around 18. you know, it's it's just a bit more on the nose on that one. But I
Yeah,
noticed he has like writing partners on City Lights and sole credit on Modern Times. So yeah, I think Modern Times he was kind of like is doing his own thing, and maybe there's like that's why there's more mild imperfections in that one, and it's mostly just about the gags, the comedy, but still a love story. And the ending is nice in that one, like the whole walking down the road. That's also a famous ending.
I loved the
yeah,
ending. I one of the scenes that went a little long for me was the and maybe some of this has to do with me um, having worked in a restaurant, and
Oh yeah, that is a
some
long scene.
maybe some of this has to do with the fact that at that stage in the movie, I'm very much rooting for them to succeed, and yet it's like it's almost kind of a Ben Stiller comedy type thing where it's like everything keeps going wrong, kind of thing. But when he's trying to serve that roasted duck to that wealthy customer, I'm like, first of all, I mean, I have so little sympathy for people who just like, for like a klutz like him who just cannot get it together, but like he goes in the wrong door, which is a cardinal sin in a restaurant, and he smashes that guy. I definitely smirked when he then realizes what he did without going in and then delays to let somebody else take the blame for it. But then he takes this delicious looking duck over to the guy, and it's like this mosh pit forms out of nowhere. And I was like, oh, that's pretty clever. He's gonna have to go around the dance floor keeping this thing upright. That's good physical comedy. No, he goes like 3 times. I'm like, ugh. I just started fast forwarding. I was like, this is getting ridiculous.
It kind of reminded me in City Lights the scene with him like in the restaurant when he eats the spaghetti and he starts like eating the confetti thing.
That's kind of clever.
Yeah. But the in modern times the big ones for me, it's like the sequence that always like drove me crazy, like how did he do it, was the the roller skating.
It's a good scene.
Oh
Yeah, when he's like almost falling off the edge and he's like not aware.
Yeah.
Apparently I saw like it was a fake cliff. Like if he were to trip, he would there was floor there. He would just fall onto the floor that's right on the other side of that low ledge. But just the accuracy, like, and I'm sure he just really like practiced it a lot. But just the ridiculously accurate way that he did it, and just
I would think that I've never read this before, but I would think that the blindfold was probably something that he had a little tiny bit of vision through.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But the one joke that probably in both movies made me laugh more than anything, and it's the stupidest thing as a kid. I remember I had to like replay it multiple times and I just cracked up for like 30 minutes. But I don't know why. I can't explain it. When he wakes up in the morning and he goes through his routine, he jumps to the water and he just like slams into the shallow. I don't know why. Like the that's comedy. Like it's because the expectation is that like, yeah, maybe he'll land badly or something, but I didn't expect it to be shallow.
Well, especially since the preceding scene has him, what you have to assume is only 20 feet away from that spot, and he's like able to submerge in the water. It's very unexpected. I know this is another thing with the time that the movie was made and the type of movie it is and so on and so forth, but in both movies I was quite frustrated that he never kisses the girl. There's like no confirmation of their relationship really, aside from the obvious fact.
In which one?
Both of them. I don't think he kisses the girl once. He kisses their hands.
Generally, I wonder if there was like a code thing, and
I think it was. I think it probably was. I mean, they're depicted as living together and in this crummy little shack that is, but it's very can-do attitude because both of them are like making the best of it. But for some reason, he's sleeping in a shed outside, and she's sleeping on the floor of the house
because she's underage.
Maybe. I don't know.
It's like Lucy and Ricky is sleeping in separate beds.
I think it has more to do with the time. Yeah, with that, with the what it is, standards and practices and stuff like that. Probably.
Yeah. Matt, did you have any favorites in the modern times?
I definitely appreciated like the whole Charlie Chaplin going through the gears of the machine and everything. It wasn't so much that it was funny; it was just impressive for
The sets
that.
are impressive.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is
The
pretty elaborate.
practical sets are very impressive.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
he kind of had like whatever
Budget.
budget he wanted essentially.
Yeah.
So he was like, let's build this big apparatus. And
There's a.
But
Oh, can I ask a question? Since we're
Sure.
talking about the big machine, I understand that the time period where this was made, there's certain archetypes, I guess you could say, with the way the types of characters that are being portrayed on the screen and everything. With the factory workers and whatnot, and the boss, the owner of the company or whatever, and all this stuff. I understand that it's just supposed to be normal because nobody reacts to it, but it's very interesting to me that all the workers in the factory who are working quite hard, they appear to be, tired. They appear to be working hard and sweating and stuff. But there's one particular guy whose job is to run the machines and to pull the levers, and he's very important because the boss speaks to him directly through the video communication thing and whatever, right? This dude is dressed the same as everyone else, but he's shirtless. And I mean, I get that he's supposed to be a big, strong man because he's pulling big, giant levers all day, but it's odd to me that he's not in like a wife beater or something, because like the guy on the assembly line next to Charlie Chaplin is like a big, strong dude. I think they call him Big Billy or something like that, and like, he's a big dude. And, when they stop and whatever, you see that he's got his shirt unbuttoned a bit because he's like hot and he's sweating, and they're trying to portray that they're all working hard. But for some reason, this other guy is the only one in the factory who just unabashedly shows up to his post shirtless, like Bert Kreischer. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand what's being portrayed here. It's like, I mean, I don't think I'm supposed to really think about it. I'm really probably overanalyzing it. It was odd to me. I'm like, okay. This big, strong dude is just shirtless at work. Okay.
yeah, I guess he's allowed, and the other ones don't.
Yeah, rank has privilege, I guess, right?
Yeah. The sequence, my favorite sequence in that, the feeding machine, his acting in that,
yes.
whenever the wiping one passes by and he stares at him like he wants to kill it.
Yeah.
It's just the performance there is so on point, like just the way he reacts to it.
I love that scene. The corn on the cob is the funniest to me.
Popcorn.
I actually think that with today's technology, I feel like we could make a corn on the cob machine that would allow you to eat hands-free corn on the cob while watching movies in a theater, without a Charlie Chaplin-esque, malfunction. But I don't know. I'm just saying corn on the cob is delicious, and I think more food should be hands-free.
So some of the stuff there is so ridiculous. Like the first thing that comes to mind is there's no way anybody can actually do their work while being fed by this machine.
Oh, it's so funny.
Like they can't see the assembly line.
They cannot.
It's such an impractical machine, but that's like the fun of it. Also, the fact that he puts a monitor in the bathroom, like the gags there, that's the thing to me. Like modern times, he's just having the machine. You can't fit a human being into the machine, obviously, because he would just be smashed into bits because it's all like exact, interlocking gears.
Yeah. Right.
But I think that's what the main thing about the difference between these two movies. City Lights is a very, very grounded movie to some degree. In modern times, he really is just having a blast. Like he's just enjoying this premise and having fun with it, and a lot of it doesn't really make any sense, but you go along because it's
There's an
enjoyable.
aspect of modern times that's almost it's pushing the boundaries of like almost Looney Tunes esque, you know, uh, tone of the comedy. Like I feel like to bring it back to to our last episode, or what will probably be our last episode when this finally airs. I feel like the Hundreds of Beavers was Looney Tunes esque in its tone,
Yeah.
whereas modern times, when compared to City Lights, definitely has a little lighthearted kind of silliness to it at times, especially the machinery bits and everything. Even the other one too, when they return back and he's with the mechanic, there's a lot of real silliness to that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious. Like, so what was the sequence of movies? If you had any in between,
I don't know.
in between City Lights and City Lights. So yeah, the Gold Rush was 1925. There's the circus. I don't think I've ever seen a circus. And then
There's
City Lights.
line in that one.
And Modern Times, yeah, right after City Lights, which was like 5 years in between, which is a long time to take between movies back then.
As a director, did you already look it up?
I mean, they used to make like a movie a year, like sometimes 2-3 movies a year. But yes, a feature, definitely you need a year or two. But the
they were back to back. Yeah, but like you said, 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah, 5 years, and then there's Charlie Chaplin Carnival, which I'm not sure if it's the full length, and then The Great Dictator. Yeah, and I think that's when the Great Dictator is when he, if I'm not mistaken, that's when he retired the character, like the tramp character. I'm not sure. And it was also, I was gonna say, actually, the sequence in the restaurant where he sings the gibberish thing, like the non-language that sounds like French. That was sort of like his fuck you to like people who say that like they want to hear him in his movies to talk. And he said like, that's the most that you're gonna get from me, is like I'm gonna sing gibberish. So that's the first time that his voice is heard on film, until he speaks more so in The Great Dictator.
That makes a lot of sense, because knowing that, now that you've said that, that makes the buildup of that scene make a lot more sense, because she, the other people are outside performing, so you have that sound bleeding through the wall, and then she runs up, the dialogue card comes up, and he says, "Let's practice your song," and then she sits there with the words, and there's all this buildup of him taking steps towards the camera like he's about to sing,
Yeah, like because
like,
the audience is like, is
it.
he actually gonna talk?
Yeah, now that you said that makes a lot more sense. There's like a 1, 2, 3 buildup before he finally says, "I can't remember the words."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm looking at it. The Great Dictator was the last one where he had the tramp, because I think he felt like after that, especially because he's finally decided to make a talking movie, is he's just decided to like just sort of I want to start watching some of his later movies that where he has like Limelight and Monsieur Verdoux. There's a few of them that might be worth a watch, just to see like what he did later in his career. But he's an interesting character for sure. Like it's yeah, technically when you think about it, he didn't make that many feature films. There was a lot of shorts pretty much up until he got like the Gold Rush. I think the Gold Rush was like his big major one. The Kid is not a full feature, right?
I don't remember it being, but then again, it might be.
No, yeah, it's an hour and 8 minutes.
I guess
6 reels of joy. That's a feature, I guess. In any case, and yeah, not all of them were slam dunk. I think The Kid was good. It was clever, but it's not nearly as good as these two movies. And I feel the same way about The Gold Rush. And I think the pretty much like his three masterpieces to me are like these two and The Great Dictator. But a lot of people consider Gold Rush as well.
I'm really glad that we got to watch these. They'd been on my list for a really long time.
Yeah, me too. It's funny because as I was like preparing for this episode, I was like, I have like a couple of ideas for things that we can do. It's like, we'll just do it down the road. Hopefully, I don't forget. But but I am glad that we did it after all, because nice to get it out of the way, especially because you haven't seen them. So.
Oh, one thing I would say that just neither here nor there, is just like a weird random comment, but thinking about what jumped out at me while watching um, Modern Times was the interesting aspect of like almost kind of like what it says about people, because I mean he's he goes through all these phases in the movie. Like at the beginning he's the factory worker working a really crummy job, you know but it's like he doesn't no part of him in those scenes seems as though he doesn't want the job. Like he's not happy with his work conditions, but it's not like he doesn't want the job. He's happy to be working, kind of thing. And then he loses his job, and then we go to like the prison scene, and I feel like there's something that's being said about that. I personally really thought it was funny about him trying to like wave that flag to just get people's attention that they had lost their flag off the back of the vehicle, and then he ends up getting picked up as like the leader of a big revolution type thing.
Yeah.
but anyway, my point is that he loses his will to work because he feels that life is easier in prison, then he doesn't even really want to leave, but he does because he gets out, kind of thing. So there's like something almost being said there, but I really like what it's sort of hinting at or saying pretty openly about like, he meets this girl and the two of them eventually get to the point where they are sitting there on the side of the road enjoying each other's company, and they look over and see a man with a house working and a loving wife kind of situation, and that gets them thinking about it, whatever. And it's like from that point on they both have a drive and an ambition and a goal, kind of thing. And it's interesting that like he's working crummy jobs that he can't keep and so on and so forth, and she's doing whatever, but that through all the different things that they're doing, when they get to that point where they're living in the shack and they're trying to better their lives but they can't, and he hears that his old job, his old factory is opening up again, he like bolts out the door to try and get the crummy job back again. And it's just interesting to me because it's like showing the very real life thing of like, how love and obviously family and a relationship and so on and so forth can be such a huge motivating factor in life, because he's thrilled at the opportunity to even possibly have the same job that he hated before, because it will get him what he wants.
Yeah, well, there's definitely an aspect to it of I guess in our modern times it's an issue. It's like how men can sometimes be aimless if, let's say, if they're not in a relationship, is the whole incel thing or whatnot. Just like him with the statue. It's like the porn of the time. Like he's staring at the statue because that's the only thing he can. Because he couldn't afford a hooker. But just how. Not to say that it's the only way to have structure in your life. You can have structure, like you can have other family and friends, and and you can have a structure, but yes, there
It's a
is something.
well-known way.
It's a well-known way, but at the same time, it's a stressor too. It's like it puts pressure, it's
course.
extra work,
Yeah.
especially kids. I mean, yeah, a relationship also is work because you have to get along and evolve together and all that. But yeah, but it definitely gives you something to live for sure. But again, I think it's especially in movies and stories, is the whole love is all you need type of thing. Yeah, it gives him purpose, for sure. I mean, he's got a purpose. He's trying to survive, but yeah, like that extra energy, I guess, or dedication.
It seems like it gives her purpose too.
Oh, he gives her hope. Yeah, because I mean, he is older, and at the time, I'm sure it was difficult for a woman to survive on her own. So to have like any man who would be
Stealing
interested in her.
bananas at the beginning of the movie. Yeah.
Yeah. The whole thing is just very curious. Yeah, the whole age difference and whatnot. It's definitely, and I think he also in real life he had some questionable things.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it's definitely that. It's like kind of like Babylon, the
Still
Chazelle
didn't
movie.
see it.
Haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I really wanted to. I didn't get a chance to.
Yeah, no, it's just it was a very wild time, and he was a big part of it. He was like the biggest star. He was like the first movie star, really, when you think about it. I'm trying to think of other ones. There's definitely some from the silent age, but not as big as him. I mean, maybe Douglas Fairbanks was a big one. But he was he was like the Jim Carrey of like Jim Carrey's run in the 90s is basically the run he had, I think, in the 30s, something along those lines, where just everything was like a huge hit and he couldn't go wrong.
Yeah.
I just saw an article, something about Jim Carrey. He likes to taunt people, but people keep asking him because he's semi-retired from acting, but then he keeps doing the Sonic movies because he says like, I need the money, and I like the character, and so as long as it's a Sonic movie, I'll do it. But anything else, like it's gonna have to be a very good idea to convince me to act again. And he said the one things that he would consider is like if someone like a Christopher Nolan came to me and had like a great concept for an Ace Ventura movie, maybe I'll consider it. But it's such an odd like choice, like Christopher Nolan, Ace Ventura. If anything, maybe The Mask, with the special effects and stuff would make sense to Christopher Nolan, but he went with Ace Ventura. Anyway, well, he was mostly saying in the sense that like to ground it and make it very real, like some.
I want to know what Christopher Nolan's vision would be for Jim Carrey coming out of the back of that rhino.
Yeah. It would be curious to see if he ever dares to make a comedy, Nolan. That's something.
Yeah.
I mean, he definitely has a variety of genres that he delves in. Not too much, but different types of premises.
I'd like to see if he could do it.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Spielberg tried and he failed.
I don't know. I mean, if Edgar Wright can do Last Night in Soho, I'd like to see what Christopher Nolan would do with a broad comedy. Or like a raunch romp. Can you imagine him making like a movie about college students trying to get laid?
He was he said like one of his favorite comedies is Talladega Nights.
Christopher Nolan?
He said like that he really likes that movie. I've never seen it, but I guess it sort of makes sense because if it's got cars in it and action, I think he's got a thing. He watches a lot of stuff with action in it because he's probably trying to learn like what's hip and cool out there and try to like build on it with his action sequences. But yeah, it's it would be an interesting thing. Like you can definitely sort of like the way Kubrick did with to do like something that's a comedy, but in your own way on a subject matter that's maybe serious, but make it like outrageous, and still could be action packed or whatever that appeals to him, and then he can play with time just like he does with most of his movies. It might still happen.
Yeah.
You know who I think, I mean, should make a comedy, and unfortunately probably never will unless his next movie is Tarantino. I think Tarantino, I mean, all his movies are funny,
Yeah.
to some degree, but just a full top to bottom comedy, I think he's capable.
His segment in Four Rooms is very funny.
Yeah. No, and he's funny. Like he's the humor in his movies is really good, is on point. So it's something which is, I mean, I think Kubrick was that way too. Like he had a sense of humor with most of his movies, not all of them, but tongue in cheek type of thing, and then he just like let it all out with Doctor Strangelove. But at the same time, he brought a comedian co-writer, so you can bring a co-writer, and you know, Tarantino or Nolan for that matter. Yeah, I don't know. It's
What do you think would be his most like overtly funny movie?
Tarantino?
Yeah, because I think the first one that jumps into my head is probably Django, but that movie's also juxtaposed with some of the most horrific stuff in his movie. So it's like kind of both in a way.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, I always go back to Pulp Fiction because I think everything in Pulp Fiction was the best that he's ever done.
In a way, yeah.
Like the humor there was really good. I mean, the banter between Jules and
when John Travolta meets the two girls in the living room, and then he goes in the back to do the drug deal, and then Eric Stoltz goes. He says, "Hey, listen, you don't have to run off right away. So-and-so, whatever his wife's name is," he says, like, so-and-so's got her friend, whatever, out there. We're all going to party in a little while if you want to hang out. And he goes, whatever the girl's name is, he says, she the one with all the shit in her face? Because she's got like 25 piercings in her face. And Eric Stoltz like does not look even remotely offended. He just kind of goes, no, that's my wife. That scene kills me every time.
Yeah, I mean, I think Django was trying to be funny at times, but I think Pulp Fiction.
I think Goggins is really funny in that.
Yeah, but Pulp Fiction, the situations were so absurd that I think it was the funniest movie that he's. I mean, I think Reservoir Dogs has its moments too, but
yeah.
Speaking of which, someday we should finally get around to doing an episode about True Romance.
Yeah, we should.
I was kind of curious. True Romance, technically, it's like a runaway couple, sort of like Badlands, but also sort of way like the other Tarantino script, like Natural Born Killers.
Yeah, he wrote those back to back, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so he probably like watched Badlands, and he was sort of like channeling that in different scenarios.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. A couple on the run. Obviously,
hey, just throwing it out there, bringing it back to City Lights. You want to talk about a superior love story?
Yeah,
right.
Of course.
That's
it's just it
Clarence,
keeps
Alabama. It doesn't get any better than that.
It keeps popping up like people's like like it's their favorite movie, True Romance, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
It is my favorite movie outside of like Star Wars.
Really? Yeah, I guess I need to revisit.
I am not gonna ever say that it's the best movie ever made, but making a very clear distinction between favorite and best, it is my favorite movie.